All right. Hey, WFFL, mainly Alan and Jim. Making a quick video here for the ever popular prop bets, just so we can check the box on this final week here. So do this pretty quickly, but thought it'd be more fun to do the video and just recap everything. I'll send it to you guys after all the good things. All right, so real quick, let's recap last week. So first prop from last week, we had the most sacks in the conference championship game history is 9, done by multiple teams. So we asked, will the teams in the WFFL playoffs, the main bracket playoffs this week, defenses combine for more than 9 sacks? So everyone said yes. Myself, Jim, Alan, and Shelly. And everyone was wrong. It was actually exactly 9. So we had 9 from both. So the prop was officially, could they get more than 9? They did not. We had the Rams with 4, the Lions with 2, Eagles with 2, and the Chargers with 1. So we tied there. So everyone whiff on that one. The next prop, we had the stat where Travis Kelce leads all tight ends with 20 career playoff touchdown catches. So will the tight ends in the championship bracket total 20 or more catches this week? This was an interesting one because we had George Kittle and Kyle Pitts doing their parts with 7 catches each. Loveland for the Reds had 3. And then we had Jim, the Monks, went with a change at tight end, took out Johnson for the Colts and put in Gadsden for the Chargers. Gadsden only put up 1 catch, so that total fell just short at 18. Had Jim stuck with his regular tight end, this prop would have went over. It also would have led to a Monk's victory in the semifinal, but we won't talk about that one. So Jim and Alan said no on this one, so they were both correct. Myself and Shelly said yes, so just missed on that one. The final one was the stat of Kerry Collins holding the record for the most touchdown passes in a conference championship game. He had 5 against the Vikings in 2000. So the question, the prop for this week was, will any of the 4 matchups across all of the active matchups last week have QBs combined for 5 touchdown passes? And we did have that happen, thanks mainly to Joe Burrow, who had 4 touchdown passes against the Dolphins. He was going against Dak Prescott, who also had 2 touchdown passes in his matchup. So that was a total of 6. Alan and Shelly said yes on that one. Jim and Chris said no. So yours truly, for back-to-back weeks, went 0-3 on his own props. So not a good streak right now for the bread. Alan was 2-1, and Shelly and Jim were both 1-2 that week. So heading into the last week, we got to see who gets the victory between Alan and Jim. So now going into this, Alan's overall record is 19 wins, 15 losses, and 2 ties. Jim is 1 game behind with 18 wins, 16 losses, and 2 ties. So let's get into the props for Super Bowl week. So we're continuing with this same theme. We're comparing WFFL performances to Super Bowl performances all time. So a little trivia here. I think these are kind of fun, so can play along and take some guesses. Who holds the record for most interceptions thrown in a game in Super Bowl history? And what is that number? So what player holds the record for most interceptions thrown in a Super Bowl, and what is that record? Pausing briefly to let you take any guesses if you wish. So that number is 5 interceptions, and they were thrown by Rich Gannon against the Bucks. That was the popular John Gruden getting revenge against his former team. 5 interceptions. I think 2 of them maybe were returned for touchdowns. Rich Gannon threw 5 interceptions in that Super Bowl. That is the all-time record, a difficult one to break. So the question here for the WFFL, will the starting quarterbacks in the WFFL this week combine to throw more than 5 interceptions? So you figure if they get, if each matchup has a interception in it, you'll get to your 6. So we'll see if that gets there. So that's your prop for that week. Will the starting quarterbacks in the WFFL combine to throw more than 5 interceptions across all 12 teams? Okay, next one. The Super Bowl trivia question. Who holds the record for most career touchdown passes in a Super Bowl? This one's pretty easy. I think most of you could probably get to Tom Brady on this one. He holds the record for most career touchdown passes in a Super Bowl. Other guesses you might want to throw out there: how many touchdowns has Tom Brady thrown in the Super Bowl? So the answer with the amount is 21. So Brady has played in enough Super Bowls to rack up 21 total touchdown passes. So the question for the WFFL here is, again, all focused on the starting quarterbacks here for this one again. Do the starting quarterbacks in the WFFL throw for more than 21 touchdowns this week? So will they hit 22 or more? So figure, obviously, easy math. If they all throw for 2, that gets you there to 24. I think it's a pretty high number if everyone gets to 2. So that's kind of the rough estimate of getting to that prop. So that's your prop for this week. Do the starting quarterbacks in the WFL throw for more than 21 touchdowns, which is the all-time career Super Bowl record set by Tom Brady at this point. All right, final prop. And your question for trivia, this is probably the trickiest one here. I'd be impressed if anyone nailed this one. Who holds the record for most rushing yards in a Super Bowl? What individual player in a single game holds the rushing yards for a single game in a Super Bowl? So that number is 204 rushing yards. And it was done by Washington Redskin Timmy Smith when the Washington Redskins defeated the Denver Broncos in 1988. That is the all-time record for single rushing yards in a Super Bowl. So your question and prop for this week: will any WFFL team put up a total of more than 204 rushing yards in week 17? So will any WFL team, single team, combine to have all their players combine for more than 204 rushing yards? So you figure not even everyone starts 3 running backs. Among those teams that do, it's about 70 rushing yards per player on average. It's a pretty good total, but you've got all 12 teams to do it. Or if someone puts up a massive 150 rushing yard week, that obviously gets you close in itself. So I think that one will be even, but it'll be pretty interesting to see how it plays out. So those are your 3 props for this week. Alan and Jim, I'll send these to you in a text separately, but if anyone else wants to listen in as well, can check this out. But just wanted to put this out there. Been a super fun year. Really love doing the podcast, and best of luck to everyone in Bowl Week. Bye, all.